Okay, today we're playing a game on Junkertown. The average SR of this game was 2,559. We'll be playing Mercy on attack and Tracer on defense, as counterintuitive as that may seem. We are also on the console today, so consider yourself forewarned. And our current team composition is Reinhardt, Soldier 76, Genji, Junkrat, Mercy, and Zenyatta. So, we've only got one tank, which is not the end of the world because it is a main tank. We have things that are theoretically good at killing Bastion, because, you know, the pirate ship is something that we've just come to expect on this map, so there's that. I know we are playing Zenyatta right now. We are not playing Zenyatta for very long. Certainly not long enough that I felt he had to be included at any point during the opening part. So, let's just start the game. Actually, before we do start the game, I just want to say that the email you sent this in really spoke to me. Because you remarked about being a Mercy main, but still dreaming of being a one-trick Tracer player. I sympathize deeply with you, because that's what I was gonna be. Before the game came out, I was like, I'm gonna play Tracer, and I'm gonna be the best Tracer. That's not what happened at all. But I understand the dream also. So, let's start the game now. So, we are defending Junkertown, which is, of course, a pain, and no one really wants to do it. Our team are also off standing in questionable locations, and Junkrat's already dead. We do have a Mercy, but she's going to have trouble rezzing him right there, and look, here comes the pirate ship. We've actually had opportunities to put Discord Orb on the Bastion, because part of him is apparently poking through the shield, at least. We want the Discord Orb on the Bastion, because we want Bastion dead. Strangely enough, we want Bastion dead. Moira is in the process of flanking. Moira is dead now, because she's not really allowed to do that. So now we're gonna change to Tracer. And we will be playing Tracer for the rest of the defense round. And, you know, Tracer not typically thought of as being a fantastic defense hero, because she's a flanker, you know. People have sort of begrudgingly accepted that you can play Genji on defense, which is also fine. People have not really accepted Tracer as being a very good defensive hero yet, but it's still fine. So Mercy's about to back up onto that track, and that's exactly what happens. Now, a lot of our team are currently dead. And we're still trying, bless our heart, but we should not be trying because this isn't gonna work. We do still, like, kind of want to be behind the enemy team because we are playing Tracer, so, you know, there's that. And we're skulking around, waiting for our time to strike, crouch walking up to them. Oh no, Bastion's seen us. That's awkward. It's alright, he'll forget he's there. This is the thing with Overwatch players, they've got no object permanence. As soon as you have gone out of line of sight, they forget that you ever existed. So, unfortunately, the gate did shut on us, and I was kind of wondering for a moment if it was going to do, like, the Nightcrawler thing, where if you don't know where you're going, you might end up stuck in the wall, because I was like, what if 3 seconds ago was exactly in the center of where the gate was? It would probably just push you out on one side of the gate, but it would be pretty funny if you could get stuck in there. So, very close, very close. Unfortunately, Moira's orb is bouncing around over here. I know we really want him, but Moira's orb is going to kill you pretty quickly as Tracer, so if you see it bouncing around in the area, you've got to be a little bit more patient. Because otherwise it does kill you. It does 50 damage a second, so it'll kill Tracer in 3 seconds, you know. It's, which seems like a big deal, but when you also consider how fragile Tracer is, taking any damage is usually enough to warrant you recalling, so you know, it works. It works. We got it there. I'm generally not a fan of, like, lobbing the bomb super far like that, because you just give the enemy team more time to react to it. And we had another blink available. We could have just blinked up right in Bastion's face and just, like, squished it straight onto him. You ever seen that gif of the guy who's just getting the cream pie really slowly pushed onto his face, and it's just really uncomfortable? You should dream of doing that as Tracer, usually. Just slowly squish the pulse bomb onto the person's face, and then recall away. Mostly just because Tracer's got the weakest throwing arm in the world, which is really funny when you think about it, because Tracer is probably one of the most able-bodied people in the cast, but then she's got this weak underarm lob to throw a grenade. Imagine if she had the throwing arm of fucking Anna. This little old lady can just fucking pitch that vial across the entire map. Tracer, meanwhile, is like, come on. It upsets me, because it doesn't make any sense to me that she does that. Ugh. And then Anna's like, fucking across the whole map. Anyway, so we're currently bullying Roadhog, because there isn't that much else for us to do right now. They do have a Winston, but Tracer's actually really good at fighting Winston. As long as you don't mess up, Winston, you'll kill the Winston 10 times out of 10. Which, I mean, if you'd ever mess up, you'll kill everyone 10 times out of 10. But no, like, Winston has, like, very little recourse to kill a Tracer as long as you're playing around him, because his head hitbox is, like, the entire front of his face. So he's actually really easy to hit, and you can hit him from outside of his Tesla cannon range. The reason that Winston is actually good against Tracer is because Winston zones you off of people, but, like, if you're just fighting Winston, you'll always win. So, we don't want to be all up in Winston's grill, though, if at all possible, because, well, Winston's not that bothered about it, he'll still kill us quite quickly. So here, Moira's bouncing her orb in this here small area, and basically as soon as you see Moira's orb start bouncing around somewhere as Tracy, you've got to start being really careful, because the orb will kill you quite quickly, plus that's just the orb by itself is 3 seconds, so if Moira is also right-clicking you, it's a second and a half, basically, like, it's quite quick. And that's just assuming no outside interference, so you've got to be careful of Moira's ball, because it is just gonna hit you. And then Moira herself doesn't exactly have the steepest aim requirement in the world, so now we've done it. Now we've just slowly squished it onto his face, and he was very unhappy about that. The dream, sometimes Bastion players still do this, where you stick them, and they just start ulting, because they're like, this is gonna make me survive! Nope. And then you get their ult out of them as well. That's the dream. It happens more than you would think, really. You know, people are bad at this video game. So we have stepped on a trap, which is very awkward. We backed up onto it, so there isn't much way of knowing that it's coming. Other than just being like, well, they have a Junkrat, so there's a trap here around here somewhere, probably. But I mean, we backed up onto it. There's not much you can do about that one, really, and it didn't end up mattering in the end. Which is a poor justification, honestly, because it's like, well, I didn't get punished, but because I didn't get punished, what I did was obviously fine. Well, no, probably not, but we can take solace in the fact we didn't get punished. So we've snuck up on Junkrat. Junkrat's very scary to approach as Tracer, at least at present, because the mine is just 120 damage, which is most of Tracer's health. It is about to have fall-off damage, but Junkrat's still going to be scary to approach as Tracer. So, yep. That's what you do, alright, and Bastion's really upset about that one. He's probably starting to feel quite bullied by this point, which is exactly the dream as playing Tracer. I haven't really, this is something I just thought about, but I haven't really been watching if we've been seeing, I haven't really been watching to seeing. Yes, indeed, exactly. English is a very easy and sensible language. I haven't really been watching if we're doing it, but there's this sort of rhythm to playing Tracer where you want to be blinking while you're reloading, because reloading, blinking does not interrupt your animation. And the idea is basically that you blink up to someone, spend like about a second drilling into them, then you're reloading, you blink while you're reloading, because then you're doing something during this period of downtime, because you're not attacking, so, you know, you might as well be blinking to keep mobile and positioning and all that. And then you come out, start drilling them again, and it's like a rhythm, basically. I've seen people calling it the rhythm of playing Tracer, which is a very poetic way of putting reload while you're, blink while you're reloading, so you're doing something while you can't be doing anything. It is also probably more beneficial on the console, because the idea, if you're blinking, is that you adjust your aim as you're doing it, but that's because the idea, a lot of people, you'll see them blink and then rotate their aim to, you'll see them blink, and then they'll re-aim on the person that they were attacking. Whereas the idea is more that you blink and adjust your aim while you're blinking. But that's harder to do on console, because you can't aim as freely. So if you're reloading while you're blinking, you also have time to readjust your aim while during this period of downtime still, while you're kind of doing nothing. I haven't really been watching to see if, like, we've been doing that, but that's the general idea with playing Tracers. Basically, blink while you're reloading. Gives you time to adjust your aim, and you're not doing anything else because you're reloading. So, their team, they no longer have their Bastion. I went back even though we pushed tab again, or the back button probably. So, we're really good against that team as Tracer, broadly speaking, because we are good against Reaper, because Tracer is, she's hard for Reaper to... Unless Reaper gets, like, a really good meat shot into you, he's not going to kill you. Your range is slightly better than Reaper's. And Reaper's a pretty big guy, so he's quite easy to hit. So we're good at bullying around a Reaper as Tracer. We can bully around a Winston. We can bully around a Mercy, obviously. Moira's scary, but honestly, like, I play a lot of Moira, and a really good Tracer will still kill Moira, because Moira takes too long to kill Tracer, basically, assuming the Tracer is, playing around Moira. Like, I hate playing against Tracer still, as Moira, who is, generally seen as somebody who is good against flankers, but if the flanker is actually good, they will still kill Moira, because she is still a support at the end of the day. And you've got more options than, say, Mercy does for defending yourself, but, like, no, if they're good, they'll still kill you. We can bully around a Roadhog, but we gotta be careful, and then, like, Junkrat is the scariest person, basically, because he can throw a mine in our face, and then another mine in our face, and kill us, if we haven't already... if the one mine doesn't just kill us. But we're really good at bullying that team. It's a good team to play Tracer against, because we can bully basically all of them. The thing is with, where we're ending up with map-wise now, is that, like, Tracer's gonna have trouble, like, moving around, because the third checkpoint on Junkertown, which, spoiler warning, we're about to go to the third checkpoint, I don't know if you can tell, but we're about to end up there. The third checkpoint is... there aren't that many ways to flank around and get behind people, at least not that are quick. You know, you can go up and around, but, like, it's not great. You know, it takes a while to make it happen. And Tracer's not really a frontline fighter. You know, she's quite soft, as it turns out. So we blink in and, like, oh, just chuck our bomb in there. The thing is, we're going to be chucking it on a tank regardless, because that's the only person really there. The pulse bomb isn't really for sticking tanks, because it kills none of the tanks straight up, except Zarya, but Zarya is scary to stick for different reasons, than it not killing her straight up. Like, she might just use shift, and then do no damage to her at all. But, it doesn't kill any tank straight up, so you need to be sure you can do follow-up damage, or they have to already be low enough the pulse bomb is going to kill them. I don't really recommend sticking tanks, unless you absolutely have to, because the pulse bomb is mostly just like a guaranteed pick on a squishy target, because you blink up on them, you stick the Mercy, there's nothing the Mercy can do about it except die. She can be saved by a Zarya, but that's the only way she gets out of being stuck. And it's not that hard to stick somebody once you get, like, used to Tracer's weak-ass toss. Oh no, Winston, what were you thinking? So we should actually have probably killed him for this, because he's doing this, like, aim at his big dopey head, and he, like, will probably die as a result of this, especially since he also is, like, dicking around. He should have died for that. He wasn't allowed to do that, we just needed to, like, do more headshots, and he would have died for that. And, you know, aim better or do more headshots is not really fantastic advice, but the dude was emoting right in front of our face. He's not exactly unpredictable at that point, and we had the opportunity to kill him because he was being stupid. So we've been able to bully Mercy to death with the help of Moira. We are currently really low health and have recall up, and that basically leads to us dying right here that we didn't use recall, because... oh god, like, as soon as you're like 100 health as Tracer, you need to heal at that point, because you're suddenly in the range where, like, one thing can unexpectedly kill you. And we are walking around at 25 health. We get punched, it's basically all over. Like, recall, just heal up. It's not worth the risk of dying, because This is important to remember when you're playing any kind of hero that applies pressure to the enemy team. Doesn't matter how much pressure you're applying, if you die, all pressure is immediately relieved. So, don't die. Very important advice. It is stage 1. Everything else comes as a result of not dying, basically. So a very scary team to approach. Because, you know, blinking right into a Junkrat's face is usually exactly what Junkrat wants, but we got away with it, so that's okay. Because we had recall up, so it isn't that hard, but you can still just get spiked to death by Junkrat really quickly, so it is still scary to, like, approach him. Because if you get hit by something coming in and then he just throws the mine in your face, it's all over. So we have, the thing is though, like, we managed to kill their momentum on the pirate ship, and that's the thing with the pirate ship, is if they lose momentum, it's really hard to get that momentum going again. So because we have managed to kill their momentum, we're having a lot more success than is usually expected. So we had recall up, there was no reason to die again right there because we had recall up. If recall is on cooldown, you have to start playing a lot more passively as Tracer until it's back up, because that's how you get out of that kind of situation. So if recall is down, you have to play more passively, because you're in that position, you don't get out, probably. But being in that position with recall up and still dying is even worse. Because, like, oh, you had the recourse, but you didn't, we had recall still, we didn't use it to try and survive. When in doubt, recall out, which is something I stole from somebody else who said it, but, I said it now. It's mine. I've decided I liked that, so I invented it, even though I didn't actually. It was actually this other guy called One Amongst Many, who is way smarter than me, so you should probably go watch him, actually. He's also Overwatch man, much smarter than me, much more articulate also. So, Reaper, we're good at fighting, but he did get a decent shot in us, and then Moira's ball finished us off. We had recall down at the time, so not much you can do about that one. We don't really need to recall right here. We could stick around and try to help fight that lady a little bit more, because she's not looking at us, and we can see nobody else was in the vicinity at the time. So we didn't necessarily need to use recall right there, even though we were at 100 health, because we could see we were just fighting Orisa at the time. But at the same time, I also just said, when in doubt, recall out, so if you feel like you're gonna die, you're better off recalling anyway, because it's almost always better to do something too early than too late. Because if you do it too late, well, you fucking die, don't you? And there's not much you can do about that one. If you do it too early, it might not be optimal, but at least, you know, you didn't fucking die, right? So, the two supports are the only things that have been touching the point for a while now. I think we were a little bit more focused on Moira during this fight. Yeah, we're like, then we switch over to Mercy. Not really that. Kind of thought we were more focused on Moira, but not really, upon reflection. So, you know, like, they're in the point where they're just having to rush up and touch the point or lose the game, so it doesn't usually go super well for you when you're in that position, so not unsurprisingly, we did in fact get them off and win that round. Now, as you can see, there isn't that much time left in this replay. So you can put your money down now. Do you think we're going to steamroll over them, or do you think we're not going to get there? So, because we haven't actually been here for 42 minutes. There was another game, there was some more stuff before this, but we didn't watch any of that, because we were specifically, the Tracer game was the point of the email, so. A bunch of our team died as they walked out the gate, which is not the most promising start in the world. And, we decided we're gonna pull out our pistol and give it a bit of a go. Bastion was still kinda right there. Don't really recommend that one, because Bastion was right there. We decided we're gonna res Moira. Honestly, like, when someone dies right out of the spawn, I'm kinda just like, is it really even worth resing the person? Because they're gonna be back here in, like, less than 10 seconds, you know? But, anyway, we res Moira. We still have yet to kill Bastion, so, yeah, this is the kind of start to the round where you're like, and then, you know, we fall off the cliff, so, like, yeah, it's not exactly the best start to the round in the world. You know, there's a little bit of bad mojo. They have a you pick Pharah against that team, and oh, Reaper, you're not allowed to do that. Oh, no. Mark is not cool. What are you doing? You can't do that. That's not okay. I did have a man the other day try to tell me that Reaper is the best thing you can pick against the pirate ship comp, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? You try and squish your face up against the Bastion and you get killed by the Bastion. And his team probably helps him, you know, because they're kind of based around the Bastion. So, we have a Pharah. We want to hang out with Pharah as much as possible because we're playing Mercy. But if Pharah's doing that, no, don't follow the Pharah, because she just kind of like threw herself on the Bastion as well. So it's not going super well. We have Valkyrie now, which is a great ultimate. We decide we're going to use it right now. This is like a really bad time to use Valkyrie. So easy to die right here. Especially since Moira is using Coalescence, which is pretty good at killing Valkyrie in general. But like, we start doing it at like low health. Oh god. We should have died for that one, honestly. Oh god, the tire went like right next to us. We were really lucky to survive, like, several times during that fight right there. Don't use Valkyrie when you're, like, really low health, because it's very easy to just suddenly die, and you really don't want to waste Valkyrie, because it's such a strong ultimate. Even after it gets nerfed, it's still going to be a very strong ultimate. You don't want to end up wasting it like that. So Bastion has just turned into a tank, and we are no longer in Valkyrie, so... yeah, we're little hoes right there. So... our team are not really being very helpful during this round, is what I would point at the most obvious issue we're having right now. Is kind of just like, everybody's kind of running around in front of Bastion doing their own thing. They're all running around like headless chickens. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know what's going on. They just are kind of doing stuff and hoping it works. All on their own as well. Like, Reaper's like, I'm gonna reform up to the Bastion. Ah, fuck, Bastion killed me. Who could have seen that one coming? There's not much you can do as Mercy in this position. Because, you know, Mercy is a very strong hero, but, like, Reaper, you can't do that. How many times does it have to happen before you learn? Like... if you don't get punished, you don't have to learn. But if you get punished, you do have to learn, because you have no excuse anymore. How many times? So, Mercy is a very strong hero. But if your team starts stalling out like this, there isn't very much you can do as Mercy to, like, kickstart that. Except get Valkyrie, and hope that the Valkyrie is enough to win the team fight. But if your team are, like, really adamantly don't want to win... there is not much you can do about it at the same time. So, oh, just barely. Ooh, just barely managed to pull back over with the prefers beam target. That's why preferred beam target is sick. So, we have finally managed to kill Bastion, and we can actually start moving again. It only took them doing stupider shit than us to actually end up losing control and let us get some momentum going. But it doesn't matter how the momentum gets started, so long as the momentum does get started. And this is the great equalizer in Overwatch, is that the enemy team can always be worse than your team. No, but my team is literally the worst. No straw man that I've constructed purely to mock. Your team, the enemy team, can always be worse than your team. So they have a Sombra now, which is concerning to us as Mercy, not as Tracer. It would be concerning to us as Tracer as well, because a Tracer that got hacked is the saddest thing in existence, but we as Mercy are also concerned about a Sombra, because Sombra can just sort of appear next to us, hack us, and kill us before we can fly away. So we have to be aware that there's a Sombra. Sombra's dead right now, though, so it doesn't matter. This is a very scary point to start pushing in as Mercy, because, like, Mercy doesn't really usually want to be, like, touching the payload, but you don't want to be standing out in the open pane outside, the open plane, or the open pane, depending on your perspective, in Junkertown either, so it's a bit of a unfortunate area for Mercy. So we did manage to get the first checkpoint, and we decided we're going fucking in! We might as well, seeing as most of our team is out here waiting for the gate to open anyway, and it's really hard to kill Mercy and Valkyrie. You'd be surprised how many, like, kills you can get on people and Valkyrie. Just because they're like... You know how it is, like, when you as Mercy start shooting somebody, they start sweating as soon as you start hitting them. They're like, oh god, no, please don't let me die to Mercy, please don't let Mercy kill me. And as soon as you start thinking that, that's when you've already lost. As soon as you go, oh, please don't let the Mercy kill me, you've already lost. You're gonna die to the Mercy, I'm sorry. It's like when you're playing any video game and you think to yourself, I've got one hit left and then I die. As soon as you think that, it's all over. That's when you immediately get hit and die. So, anyway. We've got some momentum going. We're in the streets now. Streets are a very hard place to defend, but this Farah just straight up, like, dunk-shotted us right there. And, Farah's very scary to Mercy, so it's not exactly surprising that we got killed by her. Especially seeing as, we can't really depend on our team very much. We're the 6-man, by the way, but we can't really depend on our team that much. People get, like, really... Like, they get really tilted as soon as they see, like, the other team is a 6-man and you're not a 6-man. People get really tilted by that, but, like, have you seen this game, right? Like, just because they're in a 6-man doesn't mean they're actually coordinated or good. And even if they're coordinated, they aren't necessarily good. So, it's, people are bad at this video game, as it turns out. I'm bad at this video game. Like, don't get me wrong, everybody is bad at this video game. It's not about which team is better. It's about which team is less boosted, right? That's the correct way to look at the video game. So, you'll have noticed that I've not been saying quite as much about the Mercy section. Honestly, like, there's not that much going on we have a lot of agency over, because, like, most of this round was us getting murdered in front of our spawn. What can you do about that one, right? And now we've gotten some momentum going. It's not so bad. And now we've almost got Valkyrie again, and we don't have to push it that much further. The scary part is, like, stalling out right here in front of this doorway, because this is a very bad place to stall out momentum-wise. Because, you remember how in Eichenwald, before the gate stayed open, you could only go through the 2 fuck corridors to get back to the payload? This point on Junkertown is the exact same way, where if you stall out, that door closes, you've only got the 2 fuck corridors on the sides to go through. You really don't want to have to do that. So, we, res the Reaper here. I would have probably used Valkyrie, just because, like, going through the cast time for res right there is really scary, because it's kind of out in the open. And Valkyrie lasts 20 seconds. It's about to last 15 seconds, but 15 seconds is still fucking, like, that's still more than Molten Core. And Molten Core already lasts an entire human lifespan, right? Like, you can use it early and not feel too bad about it. And quite often using a Valkyrie early is better. Like, imagine if they've got, like, a Zarya, you want to use Valkyrie quite early, because that way you can't get caught by the Graviton. So, they're doing a lot of staggering also for the last... since the last checkpoint, basically, they've been doing a lot of staggering, which is of great benefit to us. Fuck Bastion, let's go. So, almost there. We shouldn't be using the blaster right now, because a lot of people are low health, and, we are still playing Mercy. We do still have to heal people, it's, sort of Mercy's job, just a little bit, and we were a lot more focused on just, like, shooting people. It's not really Mercy's job. So now we're doing a lot of hippie-hopping around on the payload. We actually kind of want to be getting away from the payload, because we heard that ultimate coming. But it's okay. Even though it killed us, we still won the round anyway. So everybody's really stoked about that one. what's play of the game? It's Moira. Not surprising, really. Coalescence puts up big numbers, and it tends to skew the algorithm. I've gotten a lot of play of the games as Moira that I didn't really deserve, just because I pointed it through, like, my entire team and their entire team. Even if it didn't actually kill anyone, or do much of anything, it did a lot of healing and a lot of damage, so it's like, that was play of the game. And I'm like, I don't know that it was, but the Genji didn't get it, so I'll take solace in that fact at the very least. So, things that stood out the most in this game, basically is Tracer. Recall is like the big thing. We don't recall early enough in a lot of situations, and sort of don't seem to be thinking about our health, basically, seems like the bigger issue. More than the recall itself, like, when you're like 100 health, you're in the range where something can very unexpectedly kill you as Tracer, so you need to actually start trying to heal at that point, because you can't account for every little thing in a fight. If you're in one-shot range, you want to be healed, basically. And ideally you don't use recall, like, you don't want to use recall unless you have to. Ideally you can just, like, blink back onto a health kit, because if you don't have to use recall, you don't want to, just because if recall is down, you have to play more passively as a result of that. But, at the same time, though, if you think you're gonna die, just recall. Because living is the most important thing. It is step one. This is also why the only stat I think that is worth tracking at all is your deaths, because everything else kind of comes as a result of deaths. Dying less is just an objectively good thing, right? Because everything else comes as a result of being alive. There are many ways that eliminations or damage done and things like that can be kind of skewed and not really mean very much, whereas you just dying less is objectively good, which is why deaths, I think, are the only personal stat that's worth tracking. Anyway, though, so thank you very much for watching. If you wait, let me just check the email once over to make sure I didn't forget any questions that were in the email. My problem is death by random spam. Yeah. No specific questions, though. Okay, so, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.